Alright guys, what's up? So as you can tell by the title of this video, I've bought a few cars. As a lot of y'all know, I switch pretty regularly, mostly because I'll make a video about one, a couple months later I'm making a video about another. So on that note, I actually have another video I'm going to post probably tomorrow. I don't want to post two in the same day, so I'll post it tomorrow. It's about the new car and what I'm doing to it. With that being said, I guess let's jump into why I bought so many cars this year. It's kind of weird. It made sense in my head before I did it all. I have a cat. Anyway, so to get started, a lot of you saw, not my last video, some of you might have noticed that was a different car. But the video before that, I announced that I traded the silver Mustang and got a 2019 Camaro 2SS 1LE. That car was awesome. If I could go back and pick one that I would have kept, probably would have been that one. Just between the sound, the features, the price I got it for, and just the overall look, that was probably my favorite car. Especially, y'all know me, I mainly drive manual transmissions. That's the best transmission I've ever driven in my life. That being said, I kept that just a month shy of a year. Like I said, if I go back, I'd keep it. We make mistakes, here we are. I ended up trading that on a 2014 3LT Z51 Corvette Stingray. Obviously, here's a picture of it. Y'all saw that in my last video. That was where we went to the tail of the lizard on a little rally. The reason I bought that is because my brother actually has, as y'all know, the blue Z06. And seeing that car, everything that was done to it, all of that, I wanted a Corvette. That was my thing. I was stuck on it and I felt like that's what I needed to make myself, I don't know. I wanted a Corvette. So I bought that one. Of course, at Mullinax where I used to work. Of course they would get it, you know. It was a stock car. I lowered it on stock bolts. I ended up putting a lip on it that I ripped off the same day on the interstate. Put a little wider tires in the back. It had a really boomer looking exhaust on the back. It was really expensive. It was like a $3,000 Billy Boat exhaust. It was just ugly, and personally I didn't like the way it sounded. So I got a pair of stock Z06 mufflers from somebody local. And that's what we put on there, and that's what I had on there until I traded it in. That being said, I only kept that a few months because when I bought that, it was around April. And I didn't take into account that Patricia, if y'all follow me on social media, y'all know we just got married about 2 months ago, less than 2 months ago. She graduated and we were ready to buy our first house. That being said, I didn't want to have, you know, a really expensive car note while trying to get a house in this market. I didn't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't want us to struggle to try to afford, you know, a decent house that we have here and a nice car. So my idea was I will trade this, I'll get something cheaper just until we get all the bills figured out, you know, what our budgeting is, and then I'll obviously get something else. So that's where the 2012 Mustang GT came into play. I'll post some pictures here so y'all can see it. I once again went back to Mullinax. I saw they had it. My sales lady, she kind of told me about it, and I was like, you know, this one's $20,000 less than the Corvette was, so my payment would get cut in half. It was a little older. Obviously, I haven't driven a car that old in a while. Not being said, it's still a very nice car. Whoever owned it, which I kind of know the guy. He works for AutoZone. I used to be a manager at AutoZone, 2 different stores, but I knew of him. He bought the car new. Car only had like 20-something thousand miles on it for a 2012, so it was one owner. It was a gorgeous car. It was a fake gt500, which I was planning to take the Shelby snakes off at least and just keep the parts. But full gt500 front end with the 1314 front end. Had the S550 style tail lights. It came with a 15-inch drag pack in the rear, skinnies up front. It had beautiful rotors on it. I talked to the guy. He said they were like custom made in Australia. Really cool. It was a cool car. Boss 302. Engine bay was tucked. I'll post some pictures of it. AN fittings, braided lines. The car used to be Pro Charged, but before he traded it, he sold the blower and traded it in, basically just bolt on. So it was off-road pipes. I want to say it might have been Borla attacks. I'm getting confused now. Boss 302 manifold, and then just a cold air inductions intake. And it was obviously a short shifter, clutch. It had a ton of suspension bits. It had H&R lowering, or it was actually on coilovers. Tons of BMR goodies, sway bars. It was lowered, and it was obviously meant for dig racing. I ended up trading the drag pack for some street wheels and tires plus some cash. And then as soon as I did that, I was finally able to drive it more dailyable. Without being worried, because you know, summer in Alabama, it was raining a lot, sketchy, you know. Got the wheels and tires, drove it around. It didn't handle great, to say the least. If y'all watched my Camaro video, y'all know, obviously I like to roll race. If I have a tire, I like to dig, because that's all we have around here. But I really, once, you know, I get the means to do it, I really want to get into, track racing, like track days, go to Barber, NOLA, Atlanta Motorsports Park, places like that. Like, I want to really drive. That being said, we were supposed to go to Tail of the Dragon the first weekend in September. Well, after just driving that car on some turns we had around here, it, well, to be honest, it sucked. It couldn't corner, it rolled, tons of body roll, you know. It didn't handle good at all. That car was meant for a straight line. As cool as that car was, as much money as was in it, I was able to sell it a couple weeks later for what I paid for it. So I didn't lose any money there. And with that being said, I found probably the most love-hate relationship car I've had in a while. A WRX STI. Now, this wasn't no ordinary one. It was a IAG built block, big 6466 turbo, all the supporting mods, ETS front mount intercooler, NVIDIA exhaust. You know, it had a ton of stuff done to it. Had the build sheet in the car. From what I could tell, it was on the base file from where it was built. It was never custom tuned. That being said, it was quick for what it was. If you know anything about WRXs, it hated going in fourth gear, so I couldn't no lift shift fourth through the access port. I could do first, second, third, but third to fourth wasn't happening. So I fell out of boost every time I would race it. I'll put a video here of it doing a little pull, a little brake boost. While I had it, clutch fork broke. I had issues with that, fixed some things. It didn't run great. I don't want to say it didn't run great. It ran great, but the car was so built, you almost, like, it wanted to be beat on. It didn't want to be daily driven, and at the time, I had that. And it had 2200cc injectors, which is way too much for it, for the power level it was at. Like, it probably could have got away with some 1300 or 1500s. It would have been a lot more dailyable if it had those injectors, because it had a, you know, stage 5, 6-puck sprung clutch, super aggressive to push in. It bucked and jolted because of the injectors. It wasn't very smooth because, like I said, it was on a base tune. Nobody ever bothered to follow up with it. The motor and turbo system and all that was perfect, had everything built. Nothing around it was. It was stock axle, stock trans, stock shifter. It was on some RPF ones. It had bolted on wide body flares that were just black. Personally, I was planning on painting them the same body color. It needed a lip really bad. It was missing some interior pieces. But I mean, overall, it would have been a great race car. And that being said, it surprisingly did well in the turns. I've never had a four-door sports car. So I was really nervous about getting it and taking it through turns and whatnot. It thoroughly surprised me. It was on some really expensive KW coilovers. I think that was the only suspension mod, if I'm not mistaken, was just the KW coilovers, but they were external reservoir. They were tuned pretty good. It sat good. It was a little low in the rear because whoever bolted on the fenders, the flares, they didn't cut the rear or front fenders. So if anybody rode in the back or you hit a big enough bump, it was scraping, but the fitment looked good, as you can see through the pictures I've posted. With the amount of work it needed to be a presentable car, it would have costed some money. That was money that I didn't have at the time. And I needed a car that if it rained heavy or something like that, I could daily drive, and a car that built just wasn't feasible to drive every day. And I didn't want to drive it every day because I didn't want to throw miles on all these parts. I wanted to race it, and that was about it. And it did get really bad gas mileage, I'll be honest. It was, you know, low teens, 11, 12, 13, something like that. And that's staying out of boost. If you were in boost, it's like 7. So it didn't make a lot of sense to keep that in my situation. And that lands us where we are now. I ended up trading that for a mostly stock 2017 5.0 Mustang. If any of you have been following long enough to remember the black car, the one before the silver Mustang, identical. It's a base model performance pack. This one's a little more my style. Blue. It's actually funny, I'll post the picture here. It looks just like my Subaru did. Blue, gold wheels. So it, you know, kind of reminds me of that. It's on some nice Vossen GNS 3s, really expensive wheel. The wheel and tire setup was over $7 grand if you bought it new. And it's basically like somebody looked at the Steeda catalog and threw it at the car. Lowering springs, sway bar, links. It's got all the under chassis bracing, the engine strut mount. It's got everything Steeda. Like, it handles like a dream. It's stiff. It feels like a race car. It sounds like one. It's clunky, but when you hit turns, it's taking the turn. It has a full Corsa catback. It's got a Steeda intake. And it was tuned on E85 when I got it. If any of you are familiar with South Alabama, we don't have any E85. So I've been working with Ortiz, and it's pretty much done. They're just making it a little more easy to drive. But we got it on 93 now. That being said, that car's been good to me so far. I bought it the week before we got married. And we drove it all the way to Orlando and back, which was about a 17-hour round trip. And it did great. And I haven't had any issue with it. It's got a short shifter of some sort. But otherwise, it's a mostly stock car, if I'm remembering correctly. It's got a big ducktail split that needs to be redone. It was never painted, and the seals are coming off. So again, it needs a little work. It has a couple rock chips and a little, it's missing some paint on the rear passenger quarter. But for the most part, it's a solid car, and it's what I need right now. I can daily it if I need to. It's, knock on wood, it's reliable. It's perfect for my situation right now. With that being said, let's go take a look at it. So here it is. As some of y'all might have known, you know, we obviously just bought a house, decorating for Christmas. Needs a little work. We've only been here a few months, so give us a break. But this is the car. Blue, it's exactly what I've wanted. I love this color. I had a buddy with a GT350 the same color, and I loved it. It's dirty right now. If y'all didn't know, Pat's Genesis was in a little fender bender, so it's been getting fixed. So she's been driving this 30 minutes one way to work every day. It's dirty. I gotta wash it. The paint's not perfect. I'm gonna paint correct and ceramic coat it at some point. But wheels are dirty, but they're beautiful wheels. They fit perfect. It's a 295 on the front, 325 on the rear. Tint, this is the spoiler I was telling y'all about. Like I said, it needs some love. But we're gonna get that taken care of. Everything's blacked out. GT badge, 5.0 badge, the horse on the front. Corsa exhaust sounds beautiful. It's stock headers, and I personally think it's the perfect sound. Yes, I want more power out of it, but I think it sounds perfect as it is. So I might do headers in the future, but for right now, this is how it's staying. Obviously, it's just a base car, which is fine with me. I'll do the bigger dash at some point, or the bigger radio and probably a digital dash. And I'm actually filming another video today also, which is why it is on ramps. But I'll show you under the hood. Like I said, Steeda strut bar. It's got a ton of Steeda suspension under it. Steeda closed box intake. Only thing I've done under here is this top part is stock, but I painted the sides to match the coil covers because I painted these also, so those match. And that's actually, you'll see that in the video tomorrow. I did that then. But for the most part, it is just a fun car. Relatively stock. It's fun to play with. It takes turns. It's comfortable. You know, Bluetooth, push start. It's really all I could ask for. And it's, like I said, it's just perfect for what I'm trying to do. And then that leaves us with the last one. I've had this one a few months. I bought it right before I got rid of the Corvette. It's something I've wanted since I was a kid. I kind of lost interest in my late teens, early 20s because I was playing with so many cars. But that being said, my uncle and my dad both got these, and I was like, and I rode my dad's, and I was like, man, this is a blast. So I went and found a dual sport. And that being said, I messed up. I bought a crf250 rally. If I'd have done a little more of my research instead of just being an impulsive buyer, as y'all know I am, I wouldn't have got the rally, and honestly, I probably wouldn't have got a CRF. But we're making the most of the situation. I'm not gonna sell it or get rid of it soon. I'm just gonna modify it how I want it. I bought it, I'll be honest, because I'm a racer, and I liked the carbon fiber headlight. It looked cool, it was big, but as I rode more and more, I realized I hated how big it was and how heavy it was. And I'll post a picture of a stock rally here. And then this is what mine looks like. I got mine completely stock. In fact, I have a lot of the stock parts over here. You know, skid tray, that's the rail on the back, windshield, the little storage container, one of the mirrors kind of came off, heat shield for the exhaust, snorkel, strap for the seat. Anyway, this is where we're at now. Obviously it's on a supermoto setup. That was the only thing done when I got it. I did the tail tighting because I hated the big fender. Obviously one of the mirrors is gone. As soon as my little side mirror comes in, this one will be gone too. They come stock with the hand guards, bark busters, whatever you want to call them. I did the LED front turn signals because the back's LED now, so front might as well be LED, right? As you could see in the picture, it had the big plastics coming down. I actually cut right here to get rid of all the plastic. Then when I did that, I deleted the front skid plate and the tray on the bottom, and I actually did this on both sides. So both sides is, you can call it custom, but I cut right there and just kind of cleaned it up. On the other side is where the storage box was. I hated the big hips on it. So the storage box actually just unbolted and left you with that clean little fender. The other side wasn't so easy. I messed it up, I'll be honest. I'm gonna have to go back and fix it. From a couple feet, doesn't look bad. Get close, you can see my sloppy cuts, but I'm just gonna go back in, clean all this up a little bit and try to make it as smooth as possible. Otherwise, it's pretty much stock. I do want to do a tuner and a full exhaust at some point. Right now, I just have the baffle removed, so it's louder than stock, but it's not loud by any means. One thing I really hate, and this might bug you, it might not, but me, hate it. When you turn the handlebars, it's an independent headlight, so the headlight stays straight. I hate that, and I hate how big it is. So my plan is I'm gonna try to get a stock 250, 300, or if I can figure out how to make it fit, I'll get the 450L headlight, and I'll delete all this, which one will make it lighter, because that's one thing I hate is how heavy it was. It's a heavy bike for a dual sport. It's almost more on the line of an adventure bike. But that being said, it unbolts down here. So I'm gonna take this whole thing off, I'll keep the display, and then I'll put the stock headlight, if I can, from an L on here. If not, I'll probably fab up my own and just mount this. I'll make a custom bracket. But that being said, I think I'd be happy with it. It has very, very, very soft suspension, so it's not very good to wheelie. It's not very good to jump. It bottoms out easy. You're definitely gonna have to do some suspension upgrades. But that being said, it could use a seat. It's just small stuff at this point. But I'm gonna get everything taken care of. And then I'll probably keep it for a while. I've really been looking at naked bikes, so I'll probably end up keeping this, getting a naked bike, and then probably getting a 450 or a KTM 500. But that's my whole deal. I've really been into bikes recently, so I'm probably, as soon as I order one, I've been lazy, I'm gonna get a helmet mount for my helmet, and I'm gonna start making motorcycle videos too. So it's gonna be a little bit of everything. I'm probably gonna start another channel too. If you don't know my background, I have a heavy finance and sales background. So I want to make a channel kind of catered around that, just to teach y'all some, especially car finances, but just finance tips in general, and make some videos on that, but that's for a later date. But this channel is going to be my, obviously, car and bike channel. So that's the reason I've bought so many cars this year. And that's where I ended up where I am. I'm say it every time, but I'm probably planning on keeping this one for a little while. Hopefully that works out. I hope you enjoyed the video. I have another one already, it's actually already videoed, I just gotta edit it for tomorrow, and then hopefully I'll get 2 in a row, and hopefully I can keep this up. I've really enjoyed riding, so hopefully if I order that helmet mount, it'll make me post more videos, and I think y'all would enjoy that because we act a fool on them. That being said, I'll see y'all in the next one.